everyone. I'm Carol, and this is our house. We have monthly wellness events every month, and usually have a different speaker come. And this time we have Dominique O'Brien, who's going to talk to us about emotion code and body code. And she's going to do a little demo for us on us as a group in a little bit. But first I just want to talk about some oils because we are going to use some oils. Emotion code, body code, she's going to explain it a little bit more, but from my understanding, we have an energy frequency around us, right? We have a field around us of energy. Our emotions, our physical ailments, issues that we've ever had, they create blockages. And emotion code and body code is a really simple way to get rid of that so that your energy frequency is clear, so your body can function well, your emotions can function well. And so essential oils just goes hand in hand. So Young Living is the brand that we use here and that we recommend. It's the only essential oil company that has farms all over the world and that use the seed to seal guarantee. So who here is familiar with Young Living oils? Okay, a lot of you. Okay, yay. So the emotional oils are super amazing, which is one of the things that Gary really was passionate about. Gary was the owner, founder of the company, but he really wanted to have emotional oils available because he saw that things get stuck in our frequency. Emotional oils can get into that frequency because they have the molecules of the plant still alive in them due to the way that Young Living distills their oils and grows their plants. No pesticides, no GMOs. They use low heat, slow steam distillation using medical food grade stainless steel drums. So that way nothing's leaching into your oil. The heat is low so that nothing's killing off the good, those therapeutic molecules of those oils. And when we're using oils, we're actually, it's like plant medicine, right? We're actually integrating that essential oil plant frequency into our frequency. So it really goes hand in hand with emotion code and body code. So one of the things that Dominique does is she muscle tests. I've seen emotion code people use like a pendulum. And so she did a group reading to see like what oil would be the best for all of us to use, and it was release. So I'm gonna pass release around. It's kind of not super low, but just like pop it on your hand to get a drop in your hand. And then you're going to rub your hands together, and that's gonna activate the molecules of the oil. And then you can do what's called a scent tent, where you hold your hands over your nose and just take a couple deep breaths to really integrate that oil into your whole system. The cool thing about essential oils, especially the Young Living ones, is they're so potent. You don't need to use a ton of oil. Like one drop has something like 14 million trillion molecules in one drop. And that drop goes into our system, into our bloodstream within seconds, and it goes through our whole entire body within 20-something minutes. So it's gonna hit your whole all of your systems, and it's gonna be totally ready so that when we do the emotion code, body code work, our bodies, our energy frequency is just super primed and ready to do that. I also have Valor here and Surrender, so I'll pass those around. If you want to use them, you can. I'll pass around Surrender one direction and then the Valor the other direction. So Valor is one of my favorites. It's super grounding and calming, and it's based on a recipe that was found by Gary Young, that Roman soldiers would put the same kinds of herbs and spices on them before they went into battle, and it gave them courage, and it gave them just a clear mind. And so Valor has a very low frequency. It's the same frequency as your bones. So what's recommended is that you put Valor on the soles of your feet or just wherever on your body in the morning to get you grounded and to get you centered. It's a really great oil that that just helps you get in that really centered space. Surrender, it does what it says. It helps you surrender and get to that place where you can make changes and transform and do the kind of work, inner work that you need without really having to dig super deep. This is the beauty of using essential oils, is you don't have to go into the trauma or the memories of whatever you're trying to release. You're able to just use the oil and kind of stay more on the surface level if you don't want to go deep. And the oils are going to help you get that trauma or negativity released more easily. So, with that said, we will have Dominique come up here. I'm not sure which word it was. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just put one on. That's it. Okay. Anyway. Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I am really honored to be here, and probably going to be taking my jacket on and off multiple times.
You're familiar with that.
So I just want to thank Carol for having me, first of all, and thank you for welcoming us in this amazing, beautiful, stunning home. Such a wonderful environment. And so, yeah, I'm just honored to be here. And I wanted to just start us off with a grounding. And I love that we just passed around the oils, because that's going to just make it so easy. So if you have a grounding practice that you already do, go ahead and feel free to do that. If you don't, what I like to do is just put my hand on my heart, close my eyes, and imagine.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
That was part of the time.
Turn off your phones.
It was, the timing was perfect. I know, the universe is saying.
Beautiful ringtone. I thought it was like wind chimes. All right, so yeah, just put your hand on your heart, take a breath, and notice the sensation at the bottom of your feet, and imagine you have some roots growing down to the core of the earth. Breathe into your heart and exhale down into your feet. And imagine you have a light a few feet above your head, pouring into the top of your head, down through your body, into your feet, through your feet, down into the core of your head. If you want, you can just ask for assistance, guidance, and grace from whatever source you prefer. And I want to set the intention to work for everyone's greatest good. I always start a session with that intention. That everyone gets exactly what they're needing and wanting.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you.
Just the grounding was a little quiet, but so everybody could kind of go through their own process. But yeah, I will. Let me know, please, if I start speaking too low. Okay, so who here has heard of emotion code and body code? A couple people. Okay. Has anyone ever had an emotion code or body code session? No? Okay. Carol has. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Did you say you did? No? No, nobody. Okay. Wow, cool. Okay, so I'll go through like a real kind of basic introduction, since nobody here has done it. It's a modality of energy, balancing energy healing, created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He was a chiropractor for many years, and he studied computer science. So he developed this system where you could use muscle testing, and he made all these different charts that are connected, and I'll show you later that the body code app that
I used to pinpoint different imbalances. And so the combination of intention, muscle testing, and using these charts, you can pinpoint imbalances one at a time in the body and release them. And something Carol said about the oils is also true with the emotion code and body code. One of the things I absolutely love about it is you don't have to go and relive the trauma. You don't have to talk about it. There's usually a little bit of information the body needs, but it's usually maybe an age or a little bit of an association of like, okay, I know what that was. But it's really amazing because I know a lot of times when people do traditional therapy, and I'm not knocking traditional therapy, there's definitely benefit to it, but sometimes it can re-trigger certain traumas. Because if we've been holding on to stuff for a long time and our subconscious has kind of put it away for safety, and we don't know how to fully process it, it can kind of get re-aggravated, and then it's more activated, and so it doesn't really help as much as you'd like. But anyway, that's a tangent. So the way it works is I connect with a client's subconscious mind, and that may seem a little weird, but just like Wi-Fi is sending a signal all the time, we're energy beings. We are perceiving and transmitting energy. Not only do we have an energy field, but we are connected to the greater kind of consciousness. We have a collective consciousness. And there's kind of always this energy field that you can tap into. And I don't know how to explain all the quantum physics of it, but basically it's like tuning into a Wi-Fi consciousness, and it's just using intention. And it takes a little practice to just trust it and to feel it. But another thing I really love about the emotion code and the body code is that anybody can do it. Like, it's really easy. You don't have to see energy. You don't have to really feel energy. You just have to develop a trust. And like for me, I read the emotion code book, and I tried to do it on myself. Originally, it kind of didn't work for me at first. But then a couple years later, I ended up working with somebody, doing, I don't know, a handful of sessions with her, maybe 10 to 12. And then I took the training, and it was like, oh, okay, now I trust it, now I see, now I get it, and I can tune in. And that's really all it takes in it. So it's really accessible to really anyone. So that's something I absolutely love about it. And it just kind of, my sister one time was like, so it kind of takes the woo and like makes it like more practical and more like scientific in a way, more organized. And it's like, yeah, kind of, for people especially who are a little bit unsure of energy work, it kind of helps because it's so organized and so kind of high tech in a way. So with emotion code, the distinction is emotion code it just deals with emotions. So we have a chart of emotions, and each emotion has a specific frequency. Just like each oil, and everything in the universe, really everything is energy, so everything has its own specific frequency. And so each emotion has its own frequency. And I can show you the chart here in a second. And it's just got a couple of rows. Let's show this around here. Yeah, it's really easy. It's just like 30 emotions. 60, sorry. Can't count all of a sudden. But 30 per row. And so there's a lot more emotions in the world, or, you know, that we all feel, but each of these kind of has a range, right? Like blue, there's a lot of blue, right? But there's like a whole range of blue. So that's kind of how it works. And then the body code, there is categories. The categories are energy, circuits and systems, toxins, pathogens, misalignments, and nutrition and lifestyle. And there's like thousands and thousands of pages. Like if I click into circuits and systems, then there's different kinds of imbalances, and like systems has all the different systems in the body. So skeletal systems, you know, urinary, integumentary, circulatory, digestive, nervous system. So when I'm working with a client, we focus on, okay, well, what issue are you wanting to work on? And then what's great is we can really zero in and pinpoint on the imbalances that are associated with that particular issue. So I love Reiki and I love all kinds of energy work, but you know, sometimes you can't, you don't know what's gonna be affected. One of the first times I had Reiki, I cried for 3 days afterwards because it released so much, and it was pretty intense. So I really like that this is a very kind of gentle approach, and because I'm connecting and talking with the subconscious lets us know when it's time. It's had enough for the day, and it needs a little time, a few days to process everything, and then we can do some more. So it's basically it's very individual. And like when I first started doing it, I was at a very stressed out low point in my life. My marriage was on the rocks, my stress level, my overwhelm was through the roof. I don't know how I functioned looking back, but but I could only handle about 4 trapped emotions at a time to release, and that felt like the biggest sense of relief, the biggest weight off my shoulders. Just a handful of trapped emotions. It is amazing how we have no idea how much stuff we hold in our bodies and in our energy systems. It's crazy. And there's multiple things that we create, like in our lives. We have different types of emotional baggage, right? It's not just emotions, but the emotions are like the glue that kind of holds all these other kind of beliefs and, our perspectives, the way we look at things, the way we react. Anybody ever, get triggered by anyone? Ever, Yeah, what's your question?
Is it okay to have a question?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to do questions at the end, but let's just do them as they come up.
So when you release your emotion, it creates, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is, does it create like a chemical in your body that functions in each of your organs?
So every emotion does have different organ and chemical
Reaction?
No, it's not really a reaction, but it's like, kind of like a chain reaction. There's the subtle energy of it. Now, a trapped emotion, the way Dr. Bradley talks about it, it's like a little sphere of energy, a ball of like, say, anger or whatever, that the way they get trapped is either we suppress it or it's so big we can't process it. And when I say process,
It's too much.
emotion, well, yes, if it's too much and our subconscious is like, can't deal with this, put it away, compartmentalize, save it for later when I have some space and time. But an emotion, when you feel an emotion, it's a wave. You have a wave, it peaks, and then it subsides, just like a wave coming onto shore in the ocean. It comes in, it swells up, it peaks, it crashes, and then it dissipates. And that's how a normal flow of an emotion is supposed to be. We're supposed to have emotions. You know, it's our navigation system in life. It helps us figure out what we like, what we don't like, what we want, what we don't want. It helps us interact with people in our environment and helps us know when there's danger and when there's, interactions with people that are enjoyable, and we, what happens is, growing up, we start thinking, and our culture isn't the greatest at teaching us how to process emotions, or even that all emotions are okay. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up feeling like anger. I did not want to feel angry. I felt like I was a bad person if I was angry, because I was very sensitive, and I saw that, like, people who got angry would yell at other people, and then they would hurt them, and I didn't want to be that person that hurt others. So I would suppress my anger. I literally wouldn't let myself get angry. So as soon as I would feel a hint of it, it was like I just subconsciously got really good at suppressing it. And then, occasionally something would happen, and I would fly off the handle and explode, and then I'd have a whole lot of guilt and then shame, and then, it's just a cascade, and you just kind of pile all these things on. And we start making all these negative emotions. Oh, I don't want to be a negative person. I should be happy. But it's like, when you feel upset, you have to allow yourself to feel it and process it. Otherwise, it's like slapping a happy sticker on your gas gauge, because the gas gauge said you were low. That's not going to help. You're going to break down somewhere, right? You're going to run out of gas. Or the check engine light, you can't just keep putting it off, but we do, and then we end up having all this stuff and not really even knowing what's there anymore. And I know, for me, what happened was, after I had my son, and my marriage was kind of stressful from the beginning, and I had a lot of just baggage that I had kind of carried over, and I tried to be like this strong spiritual person, and I wouldn't let myself get angry, and I had these people-pleasing tendencies, and it just kind of spiraled, and ended up feeling like I didn't know who I was. I would get overwhelmed at the littlest thing. I was just constantly on edge. I was in pain. My back hurt all the time. I had back issues my whole life, but it just spiked, and it got way, way worse. It just kept getting worse. I was gaining weight for the first time. I was just like, what was happening to me? And I just didn't know how to feel my emotions. I didn't even know what I felt. When we numb ourselves and we don't let ourselves feel the negative emotions, we also don't let ourselves feel the positive emotions. We don't let ourselves dream or desire things or love. And we block our hearts. We think we're protecting ourselves, but our subconscious creates literally walls around our heart. The heart is the most typical. You can create a wall in other parts of your body, but there's something called the heart wall that is very typical, that a lot of people have, kind of their subconscious builds out of trapped emotions. And it's literally to protect our hearts from getting hurt. Because, we've all been hurt. We've all probably had a bad breakup, or two, or three, or we lose someone, someone passes away that we love, or a pet, or someone moves away or says something hurtful to us. We've all been hurt. And a lot of times, we don't let ourselves grieve, and we hold on to that. And one of the reasons, like I mentioned, when I had that Reiki and I cried for 3 days, is because I never cried after my father died. When I was 17, it was like, I have to be strong for all my siblings, and I just packed it away. So we just get really good at, being strong, bucking up, you know, and for men, if they got the message, oh, boys don't cry, you know, they just don't let themselves feel vulnerable or feel sad, and so it can pile up, you know, and there are a lot of ways that we do release this stuff naturally. Our default setting is happiness and joy, and we have a lot of like energy that flows through us naturally, that, you know, our soul is pure positive energy. Our bodies know how to heal. And the whole premise of the body code and the emotion code and any really energy work, and even the oils and any kind of healing work, really is you remove the imbalances and the body just heals itself, because it kind of raises back up to its default setting of happiness and joy and love and health, because well-being is our natural state. Anybody have any questions so far? All right, so yeah, that's kind of the premise, and what I wanted to do is kind of keep it a little more interactive, and we're going to do a group release. It's Dr. Bradley is the method, the emotion code and the body code. I want to be clear. It's designed to be used one-on-one, one person at a time. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of hold the space for the whole room, and we're all going to release for ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it a little bit, and I'm going to find the emotions that are kind of active in the room, and you can choose to release it for yourself or not. If it resonates with you and you feel like, yeah, I could release some of that. Before we do that, I did want to talk about the releasing, and I don't know if I answered your question very well, but when we have a trapped emotion, and it's kind of this spinning sphere, you can kind of think of it as like, you know, when your computer freezes and you have the little thing that just keeps spinning and it won't do anything, it's just on pause, and loading, yeah, loading forever. And it's like you hit pause. Your subconscious just like, okay, pause that. I can't deal with it. I will get back to it later. So when we release it with our intention, we basically press unpause. But the cool thing is, like I said earlier, you don't have to relive the trauma. We're going straight to the energy. We're skipping the whole story of how you got it or why you felt this way or this or that. And it's like, I think of it as like these emotions just need their 15 minutes of pain. They need a little they need a little acknowledgement, and then they're happy, and they can be like, oh, okay, I'm good now. I can let go. It's like they just need to be told that it's safe to be released. And now, there is a little bit, it really depends on the person, how much you have like pent up, how much stuff you have, how good you are at kind of processing your emotions. Like I said, when I first started, I could only do like 4 at a time, and that would like knock me out. I was like, okay, I need to like go lay down and go take a nap, and usually it was the next day it would hit me, and I would be really tired. So that can happen sometimes. You can feel a hint of it. You know, sometimes I would feel kind of out of it or grumpy or groggy the next day. But it's not the same as like the full force of it. I've never had a thing where I cried for 3 days straight on releasing any of these emotions. So there is some processing, but not everybody. Some people just feel like free and have like a weight lifted off, and they just feel all this surge of energy the next day. And sometimes it takes other people a day or 2 or 3 to feel that kind of full relief and release. So, and the other thing I want to talk about a little bit before we do this is there are different types of trapped emotions. Anyway, we often think that, babies come in totally pure and without any kind of baggage. And they do come in more connected to source, and they do come in with a lot less baggage, but they can have prenatal trapped emotions, they can have, which are basically in the womb, whatever emotions the mother is feeling, the baby's gonna feel. And some of those can get trapped in the baby too, because the baby they're kind of one symbiotic, organism at that point. But, and you can also have inherited emotions. So those are inherited through the DNA from one of your ancestors, one of your parents, and it can go back generations, which, another thing I love about this is because you know that you can affect like hundreds or thousands of people. If you're releasing a trapped emotion from yourself that you got from your dad, that got from his mom, that got from his dad, and it goes back like 5 generations. I mean, there's when we release it from you and also everyone in the family tree, alive or dead, who also has it. So the ripple effects, you just never know. So I love that it's like making the world a better place through our own, not only just through making ourselves more balanced and the energy we can bring, but through literally directly releasing energies that are stuck in our ancestors. So I absolutely love that. And there's also compound emotions, which are basically 2 emotions stuck together, or not stuck together, but it's kind of a unique vibration. Like when you have 2 simultaneously felt emotions, it kind of creates its own frequency. Does that make sense? So today we're not going to be doing the prenatal or the inherited stuff because it's a group, and it doesn't really work that way. But I did want to share one more little story. When I started learning the emotion code, one of the first things I did is I released some stuff on my son, and I released 4 prenatal trapped emotions. And I had a pretty stressful pregnancy. A friend of mine had lost a baby while we were both pregnant, and so that was pretty traumatic. And I, of course, tried to be the strong one for her, and I didn't allow myself to process any of my stuff, so had a lot of guilt and all kinds of stuff. So my son got a lot of it. Anyway, I released 4 trapped emotions from him, prenatal trapped emotions, and the next day, his eczema was like 50% better. In 2 days, it was like almost all gone. In 2 weeks, it was completely 100% gone, and has never come back. So that's when I was like, holy crap, like, that is the only thing I changed. He'd had it for like 9 months, and he was 3 at the time, just turned 3, and nothing I did ever made any difference whatsoever. Oils and lotions and, all this stuff, but nothing made any difference until I released those prenatal trapped emotions, and it just cleared up. So that was pretty powerful. My nephew also had eczema, and his took us a little longer. We had about 1.5 years of kind of, a few sessions here and there, but his would kind of come and go. So I'm not saying that that's like the cause of everybody's eczema, but that was my experience with him. Another question I was just going to ask.
Just want to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true about the eczema. Like my family side, on my father's side, they always have like skin problems, and I never had it growing up. My brother and my sister did. So with my 4 kids, I started seeing it on them fast, and I remember that on my pregnancy, there were some stressful times, and so it starts coming out. And then I've heard somewhere that when you're stressed and your cortisol level goes up, your hormones gets affected, everything gets triggered.
Absolutely.
And it becomes more of the autoimmune, because you never know exactly where it's coming from. And then when they attack the autoimmune, it's more on, you don't know where it came from, but it's just attacking the autoimmune instead of protecting it. And that's where all your skin breaks out, anywhere, falling of the hair.
I mean,
don't know.
cortisol, so, I mean, it's a really good point. We live in this information age where we are constantly stressed, emotionally stressed, but also just with the constant information, the social media, the constant news, like all the bad news happening in the world. Like, you know, not too long ago, it took a lot longer to get all the information. We didn't know what was happening around the world all the time. You know, we had a lot more time in nature, a lot more time to just chill and with family. So yeah, when we are constantly stressed, and trapped emotions will also contribute to your stress level, your overall stress level, because you're basically sending messages to your subconscious that it is not safe to rest and relax and process these emotions, because we process stuff in our sleep, when we rest, when we're in nature, that's one of the reasons why the oils help so much, because it helps bring us back to those energies of nature, which is so healing and grounding. And yeah, we just keep ourselves constantly busy, and the cortisol, like the constant, I mean, cortisol is great if you have to outrun a tiger, but when are we ever outrunning a tiger these days, right? Where it's just, you get an email or a phone call, or, you know, you think about, you know, stuff on the news, you think about different things, and all of a sudden it just triggers the cortisol, the fight or flight, and yeah, that triggers like a whole cascade of hormones in your body, and can create a lot of imbalances. But if we go underneath all that, it's the energetic imbalances. There's always an energetic root cause of all of our physical imbalances, because our physical body is literally still energy. It's just the slowest, densest energy, because we are literally all made of atoms, and atoms are mostly empty space, right? There's nucleus and protons with electrons spinning around them, and most of that is empty space. Like, I remember in like 6th grade, you know, in science, and they're like, you know, your hand, if you look at it with the strong enough microscope, you would see more empty space than you know, material. And of course, that's like, what? Doesn't, you know, we think of ourselves as these like separate entities, and we're, you know, but we're constantly, you know, sloughing off cells. We're constantly like regenerating our body. You know, we eat, we digest, we flush out, we renew our cells all the time. It's always in motion. We are literally like energy beings, and we need to, like, our energy needs to flow. It needs to, like if you think of like a river, a nice clean river coming from like snow melt in the mountains and nice springs or whatever, and then it comes down, and it's like there's some dams, and people like, oh, I need some irrigation, I'm gonna take this water and I'm gonna, you know, throw some trash in it and wash my clothes in it. And before long, you know, you go down and it's kind of like muddy, stagnant, gross water, right? Like, that's kind of like what we're doing when we when we pile all this unprocessed stuff. And so yeah, it affects our body. And has anyone heard of epigenetics?
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's, our genes have a lot of different ways they can express themselves. So, and that is dependent on the environment, and the stress level is part of that environment. So if they're constantly bathing in a soup of anxiety and fear and anger, they're gonna have a different expression than if they're bathed in like comfort, you know, like calm and happiness and safety. So yeah, there's just so many layers, and really the reason that working with energy is so effective is because it goes to the deepest layer. And then it affects everything above it. So, any other questions? Yeah.
So what does a session look like with you? So you just like tune into our energies, and then what's like protocol from there?
So usually I do a session over Zoom because you can do it, you can connect with energy from somebody's energy anywhere in the world. And yeah, we would talk about what issue is coming up that you're wanting to work with, and then would tune in and go through and release whatever imbalances came up. And I would muscle test, and we'll do a little bit of we'll do a little group thing right now, and then you'll kind of get an idea. With one-on-one, it would be a little bit more, specific, but you'll get the general idea. So if everyone actually can stand up, I want to show you, has anyone ever done any muscle testing? A little bit? Okay, cool. Not everybody though. So just stand up. I want to just show you kind of how muscle testing works a little bit. I'm not going to teach you all the ins and outs of muscle testing, but basically how it's a way to communicate with your subconscious mind. And your subconscious is kind of like part of your energy, and it knows everything you've ever done or said or experienced in your life, and it's like it knows everything about you because it is you. It's your kind of full energy self. So if we say a statement, it's like a true or false statement, the subconscious knows whether it's true or whether it's false. So like if I said, my name is Bob, my subconscious would be like, no, it's not. So there's different ways to test. The easiest one is called the sway test. So if you stand, you kind of close your eyes and just say the word yes and feel what happens. Say it a few times. Yes. Yes. And what do you feel? What do you feel? Does your body...
Lean forward.
Yeah, your body kind of leans forward. Now say no. 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 Feel yourself going backwards? Yeah. So that's how it works. And you get a yes or a no. So the way that I ask the questions matters, and that's where a lot of kind of the individuality comes in. A different, as a practitioner, I bring in a different energy and a different perspective than maybe a different practitioner, or like you've been working on yourself. But I think that it's so easy to learn this system that you can easily do it on yourself too. But then if you run into a sticky, I just can't quite figure this one out or something, or I feel like I need some help with this, and you can bring in another perspective, which is great. But yeah, so we can sit down. I just wanted to kind of show you all what it feels like to get that yes and that no. And really just with some practice, you get really good at it. And I do a ring and ring test, so I'm not going to do the sway for everybody. But I'm just going to kind of take a minute to reground and connect with the group energetically. And just, does everyone give permission to have me work with you and connect with your energy? So what we're going to do, I forgot to mention one thing. When we release the emotions, we're just going to say to ourselves in our heads, my intention is to release this anger or this, whatever it is, whatever comes up. And while we do that, we're going to take our hand and we're going to swipe 3 times from your forehead to the back of your head. And you're going to swipe 3 times. And what that does, everyone familiar with, or have heard of at least meridians?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody not know what meridians are? No. So they're energy pathways in the body. And acupuncturists have been using them for thousands of years. Right, that's how they know where to put the needles. They stimulate the energy flow through the meridians, and there's several main meridians that are like main energy energy lines, and the one that goes like from the bridge of your nose, kind of all the way over your head, through your back, all the way to the tailbone, it connects to all the other meridians in the body. So what we're doing, it's like we're lining up the energy. We're like we are bioelectric beings. We're energy, we're electric, and we're using our hand as a magnet. And it's like we're telling the energy to line up and to just release that specific thing. So we're connecting with the subconscious, and it's directing. It's like, oh, okay, it's safe to release that. Cool. So that's why we do the swipe. And then what we're gonna do is we're just, the intention here is you're gonna release it from yourself, and then, if you want, you can say to yourself something like, whatever I can do to support everybody releasing it from themselves. We're just to support the group release. So something cool happens in a group because all of our higher selves and all of our guides, if you believe that, I believe we all have guides and we all have a higher self, and they all are hanging out together and helping us all. So really the whole premise of this is like, it's kind of like the attitude, like, I just work here. I'm just like, focusing the intention, and I'm the facilitator, but I'm not like healing you or whatever. Your body is healing itself. It's not, or releasing, and you're the one in charge of you. So that's another thing I like about this work, is it's really empowering because you start to realize like all the different connections within yourself, that you're the one holding yourself out of alignment, but you can get yourself back in. And you don't need outer circumstances to change for you to feel good, and you don't need to rely on so many outside sources. So that's something I really like. But let's see, we're gonna just tune in. Just give me a minute here to kind of tune back in. All right, so the first energy that's coming up is an energy of guilt. So if you feel like you might have some guilt, you want to release a little bit of it, just go ahead and put your hand on your forehead and swipe 3 times, holding the intention to release this guilt from yourself, and lend your support to the group. And 3 times, I just did like 5, but 3 times is typically good. All right. Let's do another one. So this one is an emotional compound, and this is kind of a combination of panic and taken for granted. So it's an energy of panic and taken for granted. So you can kind of tune in and see if that one resonates with you, and then we'll all release it together. so we have another emotional compound, and this one is kind of a combination of helplessness and it was unworthy. Helplessness and unworthy. So let's go ahead and release this one altogether. Okay, so this one is hopelessness and worthlessness. Hopeless and worthless energy. So we can release this one. Okay, so this one is an energy of overwhelm and taken for granted. Let's go ahead and do this one. How are you guys feeling?
Good.
Good. All right. Can we do another one? A lot of compound energies.
Don't work on my dog.
Send
the
the
energy to-
energies on your dog.
Okay, this is panic and taken for granted. So let's erase this one. Okay, I actually just felt that this is a good place to stop for these for tonight. It's good. Sometimes in the group setting, it can actually be a pretty, everybody's energy tolerance is different, so we gotta just, whatever is good for the whole group is what we do. And I'm just curious, did anyone want to give any feedback from what they felt or anything did anybody feel anything they want to share? If not, that's okay. Yeah.
My crown feels more open.
Cool.
Whenever I do like Reiki releases, I always yawn every single time I did one, so that was cool.
Yeah, that's a way the body definitely releases is sometimes sometimes I yawn, like, because when I connect with somebody and do a session with them, I'm testing for them and I'm releasing for them, and so I'll yawn for their releases too, and they will too. So that's funny. Yeah, it's a good way it's like the body is relaxing. Yeah.
Can you describe the process of when you work with the magnet? How, like, if we were at home and I have the books at home,
Mm-hmm.
so I have the charts through the book,
Mm-hmm.
and then, like, what would the process be? How would you use the magnet to release?
The same way you use your hand. So use the magnet to swipe. So you can use
You always just swipe over the top.
yeah, just over the top of your head. If you're doing it on somebody else, you can
Yeah.
swipe down the back.
Because I felt like sometimes in the book that it made me feel like I was supposed to kind of identify where it was trapped, sort of. And
You can, but you definitely don't have to. I mean, sometimes if we're working one-on-one, you know, I'll always ask, so I'll find the emotion or whatever the imbalance is, and then I'll always ask, do I need to find more information about that? And a lot of times it'll just be an age, but sometimes you'll need a little more information, like where is it? Typically, I hardly ever have to find where it is. And I did want to tell you guys that they just came out with a new course for anyone to learn the emotion code, you know, not to become a practitioner, but it's only like, right now it's on sale, I think for $98, so it's a really great, I think the training itself it's only a few hours, it's all video training, but I will send the link. There's an affiliate link, so if you want to use my affiliate link, I'm happy to do a 30-minute free emotion code session for you, and that support you and help you kind of get, you know, comfortable doing it as well. So I will send that with the text tomorrow. Yeah.
And did you say that the course was to not become a practitioner?
They obviously have courses to become a practitioner, but those are a little more expensive. The one that they just launched, I forget what they called it, but it's,
But we'll get it.
yeah, I'll send you the link, and it'll have all the info about it. They literally just,
Yeah, it's just sort of like so you could use it for your own private.
yeah, for yourself and your family and friends or whatever, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, which is really the best way to start, because you want to use it on yourself and your family and get comfortable with it, you know, and then decide if you want to do. And I mean, not everybody. If you're already like doing other energy work and you're really comfortable with it, or you're just super like, yeah, I want to do this, then sure, go for the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, I'll send links for that too if you want. But yeah, it's they also have, I didn't talk about it, but they have another level. Their level 3 is belief code, and that one goes into beliefs. But you have to have
That would be intergenerational for sure, right? The belief systems.
well, belief systems are definitely, yeah, intergenerational and cultural and all this stuff. But yeah, the emotions are so powerful. And I think you get more out of just doing the emotions first before you start doing the beliefs, because we just hold so much that old emotional baggage, that just unprocessed stuff is clogging up our systems. And you can just feel it. Yeah, it's like the glue, I think I said this, it's literally like the glue that kind of holds those patterns in place. And your beliefs and your perspectives will shift as you do this work, because you're releasing the place that you've been stuck. And it's like we're meant to evolve. We're constantly evolving. Our thoughts evolving, our ideas are evolving. You know, the world, everything's expanding and evolving, even the universe, right? So, and our consciousness is evolving. So our understanding of the world is going to shift, and our perspectives are going to shift naturally if we don't hold ourselves back and hold ourselves stuck in the past. And that's kind of what these trapped emotions do, is they kind of keep us stuck in the past, and they keep us reliving the same pattern over and over again, because it's like, if you're scared, if you're showing up with energy that's like fearful, that's what you're going to attract. If you're showing up with helpless victimhood energy, that's what you're going to attract, and that's what's going to be like shown to you. So you're going to just keep believing that that's the truth, that everyone's, you know, that everyone's just out to get you or whatever. And I tell you what, one of the most powerful things that I have gotten from this work is that I can shift relationships. I can shift how people treat me by shifting my own energy. It's my own energy. I am attracting everything in my world. And like, when I started doing this, my husband and I were constantly fighting. He had major anger issues, but that was showing me that I had all this suppressed anger. I was like, how come I attracted this man who's so angry all the time? And, well, I had this like suppressed anger that was just emanating from me, but I was in denial about it, and I had no idea how much anger I was putting onto. And so it's kind of interesting. So now I like look at everything. If I get triggered, I'm like, oh, okay, what's there? What am I putting out that I don't want to put out, because that's not what I want to attract. Like, and if I'm reacting to something, or if I'm like judging somebody, I'm like, oh, okay, why am I judging them? I'm clearly judging myself for something. Okay, what am I, and I'm like, I can just go and release it. Like, what's the underlying reason for this? And it's so cool. Like, I feel like I can like solve any of my problems so fast. It's just cool. I love it. So, I know. I'm like, can't I do more? Can I only do this much today? I know, my hair gets all greasy. But, yeah, so, yeah.
Does it just become a habit after a while?
For me, yeah.
Does it become a habit to a point where you kind of tell yourself like, oh no, that's not the energy we're getting today. We're going to be in this energy. And is it just like automatic?
Yeah,
as you start practicing more?
Absolutely. Like, I can shift my own energy just, by thinking like, no, you know what? I don't want to think about that. I'm going to shift the way I'm thinking about this and the way I'm seeing this, because the way I'm looking at it isn't serving me, or whatever. Or I'm so much more sensitive to, oh, I'm having an off day. Okay, what's that about? And I can just be like, oh, stuff's coming up to release, so I'll just do that, and then I can move on with my day. Or if I get upset about something, see something on the news that is just like, or somebody says something or whatever, I see something and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna freak out. I know I can shift this, it's okay. And it's just, it becomes habit. It's like, I have this like resilience that I just didn't have before, because instead of freaking out about something, I know I can shift it.
I have a quick question. Going back to the muscle testing, like, how do you position the question? Like, is it a yes or no? Like, am I experiencing, is this an emotion I need to work on? And then you get
Yeah.
the answer?
Yeah, it's always just a really simple yes or no. And so we go through the different charts. So like, for example, I always say, okay, so say you're like, okay, my back's hurting. Okay, so what's the underlying reason for the back pain? Is it a kind of imbalance on the left? Yes. Oh, on the right? No, on the left. And then it's like, okay, we go through, is it energy? Is it circular system? Oh, it's circular system. And then I go into that chart. Oh, is it something on the left? Yeah. Oh, okay, is it integumentary, urinary? Oh, it's skeletal. And then I'm like, oh, I go into that. And then it's like, oh, is it connective tissue or is it the skeleton? And it's like you just drill down into more refined. So tendons, fascia, ligaments, discs.
What's the app?
This is the Body Code app. I pay for this.
Uh-huh.
And you can only have access. No, but they have a free version. So yeah, this is the Body Code app. That's what that looks like. But they have a kind of a simpler version. And he did, when was it? Maybe it's been 2 or 3 years now that he came out with the Body Code book. So there's also a Body Code book, and he goes through a lot of this stuff in the Body Code book. And I think there's some charts in there as well. But there's, so yeah, you can do a lot of it. I do recommend at least doing, the initial kind of training. The link I'm gonna send you if you're interested in doing it for yourself, because it'll just give you that foundation to where then you can branch out and you can, say start with the emotion code and then you branch out and do the emotion code or whatever. Or, schedule a session with me or some other Body Code practitioner just to get a little bit of a feel for it before you do it on yourself. Because like I said, when I did it just from the book originally, I didn't quite have it. It didn't quite work for me. Not that it wouldn't for you, it might. But yeah, I think the important thing is to really build up the trust in yourself and your connection and your muscle testing.
Got it.
And so that's just really what it is kind of developing that skill. Yeah.
I have a question. So, if you say, for example, for you, you were talking about anger.
Mhm.
So you've released that before, and then obviously it potentially could come up again. Is it like the long version of that coming back up, or is it just like a shorter?
That's a really good question. So we have multiple trapped emotions of the same emotion. You know, there's 365 days in a year, and however old you are, and how many emotions do you feel in a day? Or how many experiences do you have in a day, right? So potentially, like, especially if you had some really kind of traumatic stuff happen in your life, you probably got quite a bit. But once you release a certain one, it doesn't come back. But another one might surface, But also as you get to where you've released some of these, you get better at just processing your own emotions as they arise. Another tool I like, I don't know if anyone has done any EFT or tapping, but that's also a really good way to kind of process stuff that's coming up. I still like to kind of sometimes I feel like with tapping, I'll bring something up and I don't necessarily always fully process it, so then I can kind of go to my body code and be like, okay, what's left, So I do like those two modalities, the tapping and the body code and emotion code are my two favorite, but this is the one I use.
So if people want to get a hold of you, because I'm videotaping this and
Yes.
put it on my YouTube.
Oh, okay.
If they want to get a
So
hold of you, how do they?
My website is emotionalbaggagetransformed.com. Way too long. Yeah, I need to rethink that one. But there's also, I'm listed on heal.me, and if you go to heal.me/Dominique, I'm there too. So that's a little easier, and it's DOMINIQUE. So heal.me/Dominique.
That'll be in the text that if you register, it'll be.
Emotional baggage
Transform.com. Yeah, I know. It's like, why did I do this?
Is that the name of your business?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Great. Thank
Thank
you.
you all so much for coming.
So our next event is June 12th. It's Thursday. Here's the QR code if you want to attend. It's a summer wellness gathering. So a friend that is a vegan chef is going to come and teach us how to make Marry Me tofu, which is the take on Marry Me chicken. And then I'll be doing like an essential oils basic blurb. And then we'll be making air conditioning in a bottle. So you can have a spray of air conditioning in a bottle, which is peppermint oil and water. So you can spray that on if you're menopause age. It's really good. But for summer, it's going to be really good. If kids play sports or whatever, it'll be great for them to have in their sports bag to cool off while they're playing sports in the summer. And then we have another friend of mine who is going to come and do a sound bowl healing. So it's a 2-hour event. It's going to be $20, which is a great price for all the things. Everything is included. So there's only 20 spots. So if you want to register, the QR code is there. I'll also be sending that in the text that you will be receiving if you register. Thursday, June 12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sound bowl.
Yeah, it's all together.
Oh,
Yeah, 6:30 to 8:30. Yeah.
Oh, and if anyone wants real quick, I can muscle test for an essential oil if you guys are, if you're wondering if you have an essential oil that I don't know if this is good for me.
Thank you. Thanks, Dominique. That was
You're
great.
welcome. Thank
All right,
you.
before we